Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Pathfinder 2e, Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. I almost forgot what I was going to talk about, but we are going to talk about something that is pretty central to a lot of the Pathfinder lore. Something that's central to the Pathfinder 2nd Edition world. And it's something that spans both the 1st edition and the 2nd edition worlds and is like the bridge between them. And we're talking about the Whispering Tyrant Tar Baphon. So Tar Baphon is the super evil, ultra lich bad guy that is in Golarion. Now, what you see in front of you here is the Whispering Tyrant Tar Baphon stats from Pathfinder 1. So these look very 3.5-y because Pathfinder 1 was based off of D&D 3.5. It eventually became D&D 3.75, kind of slang way, and then it became Pathfinder. So this is all of his stats. He is a mythic Lich Necromancer level 20. He is a challenge rating 42. So the characters fight him at the end of this adventure path, which is called the Tyrant's Grasp. And of course they get some help, obviously. And they're 20th level when they fight him. So this is like the ultimate end boss fight that you have during this. So I just show that to kind of give perspective, because this is the only place that we actually see these stats. And this was the last adventure path that Pathfinder 1 released before Pathfinder 2 came into what it is today. And there was an event that happened in this that turned Lastwall, the country of Lastwall, into the Gravelands because of a ritual that the Whispering Tyrant was enacting that caused that to happen. And that was kind of the catalyst that brought about Pathfinder 2 in the story itself. So we've got some timeline. So this is the Lost Omens World Guide for Pathfinder 2, and they've got a nice timeline in here. They don't really mention Tar Baphon until 3754. So the current year is 4719, or basically it's really, because we're in Pathfinder season 4, it would be 4723. But they don't really mention Tar Baphon until 3754. But he's been around for a while longer than that. And that was the year that Taldor launched the Shining Crusade, which lasted for 70 years, which was a war against the Whispering Tyrant, which resulted in his imprisonment in the imprison of Gallowspire, which was his Lich's tower. So he is locked in there for roughly almost 1,000 years. So from 3754 to 4719. So the Tyrant's Grasp Adventures Path takes place in 4719, and he is broken free of his prison. He destroys the nation of Lastwall and ravages Aveston, which is the northern part of the world of Golarion and the continent, before he's forced back, and he goes to the Island of Terror, and which is an island in the middle of a... I actually think there's a map here. I thought there was a map. Oh, here it is. So there's the Isle of Terror, and Lake Incarthen is where he is. He's not imprisoned there, but he is defeated by adventurers at the city of Absalom and he is forced to retreat. And they call this the Eye of Dread because he has changed much of the area in this area just northwest of the Isle of Dread. So that's the first place that this mentions it here. Now there's a Pathfinder Inner Sea guide that has a much more and this is from Pathfinder 1, has a much more extensive timeline that talks about Tar Baphon. And let me see if I can't find it here. Because Erodin actually fights him. So Erodin is the first. He's the last Aslanti, which is an ancient race, kind of like Atlanteans. And he becomes a god. And where is he? There it is. In 896. So that's like 3,000 years before the Shining Crusade. Erodin mortally wounds the Wizard King Tar Baphon on the Isle of Terror at the center of Lake Incarthen. So he's a mortal at this point. He's not a lich. And then we go through time, and let's see, where is the next mention? I know how to do this. The next mention of Tar. Let's see, the next mention of Tar Baphon. Tarask. Tar, there he is. That's not him. That's not him. Okay. There he is. Okay. And then he doesn't pop up again. So in 896, he's mortally wounded by Erodin, who is basically like the god of man. And in 3203, he returns as the Whispering Tyrant, as a lich. So from 896, we don't see him again until 32. Where did that go again? There it is. 3203. And the Lich King unifies the orc hordes of Belkzen and terrorizes central Avestan. So they have a pretty good map. Let me see if I can find that map here. There's a pretty good map in this book here. Here it is. There it is. Okay. So Last Wall is destroyed and is turned into the Gravelands. And here's Belkzen here. And then Tar Baphon ruled this country called Ustalav here. And then there's some pretty good maps of each of the individual places as well in this book. So let's get back to the timeline here. Okay. So he comes back as a lich and terrorizes central Avestan, which is that northern continent. And then we, the Shining Crusade starts. So they launched the Shining Crusade in 3754. Now I want to see if that lines up with this. Yeah, 3754. So the editors did their job. So Taldor launches the Shining Crusade against the Whispering Tyrant. And then they secure a beachhead on the northern shore of Lake Incarthen in Ustalav, which was Tar Baphon's nation. And the Knights of Ozum summon Erasni, who is a herald of the god of the herald of Erodin, who remember is the god of man. And then Tar Baphon actually kills Erasni, and then he is in 3827. He is imprisoned in Gallowspire. And then the Shining Crusade comes to an end with the founding of Last Wall, the country. So the purpose of Last Wall is to oversee the prison of Gallowspire, where the Whispering Tyrant Tar Baphon is held. And this actually doesn't come into effect. So this book ends in 4711 when this was published. But the Lost World's Omen, Omen book, the Lost Omens World book, actually ends in 4719 with Tar Baphon breaking free. So what else can we say about him? So there is a write-up about Tar Baphon in the Lost Omens Legends book, which is a Pathfinder 2 book. And His morbid cult of alkalites, the Whispering Way, maintains a 10,000-year-long oral history, exchanged only in hushed murmurs. Now, he's only talked about since 896 out of 4723. So that, that's only about 4,000 years or so, give or take a couple hundred years. So the Whispering Way are his cultists that, and they have a hand in the Tyrant's Grasp adventure path to free him from his prison. But he's been around for a very, very long time. So they kind of give a overview of him and an overview of what's currently going on. So the Knights of Last Wall still continue, even though the Gravelands have been blasted into smithereens. And then they talk about some of his latest machinations. So in the Tyrant's Grasp adventure path, his goal is to get his hands on the Starstone and to ascend to godhood. And it says here, his most cherished goal, as it has been since his youth, is ascension to divinity. In 1 AR, so that's the first year after Aroden founds Absalom and raises the Starstone, Tar Baphon, rival Aroden, lifted the Starstone from the bottom of the inner sea and became a living god, creating Absalom and the Starstone Cathedral. Since then, the test of the Starstone has allowed anyone who can overcome its many rituals to receive divinity. Only 3 of many have passed, including Iomade, a follower of Aroden's cause, who later become his herald. To Tar Baphon, the entire test of the city smacks of Aroden's smugness and victory. And remember, Tar Baphon and Aroden, even though Aroden's been dead, he's been dead for about 120 years, and mysteriously died. Tar Baphon is his mortal enemy. And he wants to get his hands on the Starstone. And he wants to take the test of the Starstone so he can become a god and rule Golarion. So, pretty interesting stuff. This is one of my favorite pieces of Pathfinder lore that there is. Now, we've gotten some adventures in Pathfinder 2 through the Pathfinder Society, and that have talked about or been in the Gravelands, and have come close to having characters interact a little bit with that environment where Tar Baphon is, or where the undead walk freely in that area. But we have yet to get an adventure or a adventure path with Tar Baphon in it. So we're waiting for that. We got one for Pathfinder 1, and he's still alive, so we're waiting for one in Pathfinder 2. So can't wait for that to come out. That's going to be really good, because this is an actually really good adventure path. So that's what I got for everybody today. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I will catch everybody later.